So we naturally went to optimizing content because you said like about technical SEO. So like, how do you start with like creating content and optimizing it for search intent, or actually maybe some other ways of optimizing the content?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when it comes down to it, once you have all of the keyword research done, the next part, which is equally as important, if not arguably more, is choosing the right topics to go in certain priority and order. And then obviously creating the outlines and working with the writers and doing all of the, thousand other things that are left after you do the keyword research. And so, I really have been leveraging SEO Wind quite a bit since you showed it to me. I think it's a fantastic tool. I'm almost upset that I didn't learn about it back in the day before you created it, because it saves so much time. But back in the day when we used to create all those outlines by hand, it was really just taking a look at what patterns existed in content. We always know that there's going to be an introduction, a conclusion, standard, and then within that you kind of want to work the topic around the natural structure that the reader is going to want to learn or interpret the content in. So if it's an ultimate guide or an overview, it's probably going to be what is, how does it work, what are the components of it, what are the pros and cons, do's and don'ts, etc. And so kind of keeping those sections in mind, and more commonly than not, you'll see that those sections are also going to be secondary keywords that you want to include within your H2s and sometimes H3s if they go down that far. So taking a look back at the data side or the keyword side of things, and then seeing how can you almost construct an outline or a writer brief that will allow you to rank for all of these nested sub keywords within there. And then it's just a matter of kind of creating the content that can, conversational tone that's easy to read, it's engaging, it keeps people on page. So it's also fit to, both sides, the human side and the robotic side, but obviously never sounding like you're speaking and writing in a, Google first approach.
Yeah, like I agree with you. Like never ever write for Google, like just rank like you are writing for people. And that's so important. From my experience, like thank you for actually telling that like you like SEO Wind. But like to be honest, like what we did, we automated like a lot of things that we were doing like manually. Steven also did it for years. He created outlines using manual way. You don't need any tools, to be honest, for that. You just go to Google, you like type in the keyword that you want to rank for. You open up like 10 tabs of your competitors. You go through all of them just to understand exactly what they wrote, because they did something really, really incredible. They actually nailed the search intent. Google thinks they're doing something really, really, really good. So if you go through the content that they did, you can understand more or less the patterns, like what kind of things you should fit into your outline. How can you use basically their outlines, kind of like puzzles, and put it together to create something new, better than any one of them. It's doable. You can definitely do it on your own. We were doing with Steven for years. I be honest, I hated the process, but still, it gave me the results. So whenever I tried to skip some steps and to simplify the whole thing, for example, go only to 3 competitors, I lost a little bit of value. I'll be honest, like it was cutting on quality. So the best way to do it, like just check what others do. It doesn't mean that you're copying things from them. You're actually approaching the content from a different perspective. Because a lot of people, like at least from what I hear, they want to create every single time something new. I also have this approach, would love to, but every time like that I create totally something new and I don't focus on the search intent, I lose to Google, because Google is actually a tool that just tries to answer with the best possible answer like to the person. So it's a risk management tool, like at least from my perspective. So every time that they give you something new, they take risk if they will deliver you something that is worth your attention or not. So they prefer to go after the search intent, and they have it like quite like well discovered what is the search intent for a specific keyword. And they want to deliver you something that makes sense and will give you an answer. That's why I would go like with doing the search intent, and you can always add something on top. Like, so what are your strategies, Steven, of adding value to what you see in search results? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I think that when it comes down to it, it's really SEO is, as much as people say it's analytical, there's also a lot of psychology that goes into just the search intent and trying to understand the SERPs and trying to figure out why certain people are outranking me compared to this content. And, I think that anybody who's been in SEO has one moment, or probably many, where they've looked at a top ranking SERP result and they're just like, why is this article ranking? It's a piece of trash. And then they look at this content that we're trying to rank for, and it's like, ours is 1,000 times better. What makes them this shining star that claimed that spot? And so obviously there's a lot to go behind the scenes that kind of make up why they're ranking. But if all we can control in a vacuum is content, then, taking a look at what would somebody want to read through or learn about while they're on this page, and kind of ties back to the flow of the article, and making sure that, after the introduction, it's probably a good idea to include a TLDR summary snippet of that article. And so, while you're trying to get like the featured snippet on Google, it also is just great for UX. If somebody doesn't want to read a 5,000 word article, which no one does, they can, then read the TLDR, get the quick answer, and maybe, obviously it's not going to keep them on page that long, but it builds that trust, and they might read through a little bit further. So I would say, just think in that person's point of view, and like, would you want to read this article as is? What images would you want to see? How does all of the shading and coloring fit into it? Color psychology, UX design, it's all of, it's an art form to create content that is engaging, keeps people on the page, and also answers the search intent, so that you can, outrank those people on SERPs and add value and kind of answer that, a little step up compared to your competitors. So I think it just takes a lot of practice to learn the ins and outs and learn what works, what doesn't work, and also just kind of making sure that it fits within your brand guidelines, and you don't, steer too far away from that. Because, especially if you're looking at, growing a, central brand authority, it's really important to make your site cohesive and make sure every page speaks to that audience and that ICP.
I agreed. I agree with you, 100%. Basically what you said, look at your content that you're creating. If you would like to read it, this is exactly the essence of all SEO, I would say, because we have to make it screenable. We have to make it appealing to people. If we have just a big piece of text, nobody wants to read it. So basically how people are reading through your content, they're screening through. They go just through headings. If you have too long didn't read, it will be helpful if you have table of contents that will show this is what you will find in the text. So make text appealing to people, so when they come to your page, they will want to actually screen through. And if it's not the answer for their question, they will leave. That's also okay. But help them out to make the decision, if to read it or not, because otherwise they will just leave. Because they will not like how it looks like, and they can't find the information that they want. So even if you write the best article in the world and nobody wants to read it because it will look awful, unfortunately it's not the best article in the world, and it will not rank, because Google takes into account all these factors, how people are reading the article, or at least knows the factors that have impact on readability score.